Discover the incredible billionaire lifestyle, 1 hour to unexpected, life-changing motivation. Jake stood in the dim light of the garage, grease-stained hands cradling an engine part, listening to the echo of laughter from the diner across the street. To him, it felt like another world, the laughter filled with dreams of riches, while here, he was surrounded by the scent of oil and the hum of machinery. His father's stories of war echoed in his mind, reminding him that true strength comes from adversity, and here in their small town, hard work was rewarded with respect and community. But into this worn life strolled Victor, a sleek entrepreneur with promises wrapped in charm and a shiny new sports car. The town buzzed with excitement. Would they really get a new shopping center? Jobs, light and life flooding the streets. Jake felt a twist in his gut as his friends started to nod in agreement. He knew the price of change. Were they ready for what it might lead to? Jake's sister, Sarah, sat at the diner's corner booth one night, her eyes sparkling like stars, recounting Victor's dream. "Jay, can you imagine a better life? Is that so wrong?" He thought about it, the tingle of ambition creeping in. But it scared him, too. His chest tightened as he watched the diner light flicker above her, a beacon of their family history and values. Could wealth truly replace the love and resilience they had built here? Days turned into tension-filled nights. Oil spills on his workbench felt like a warning. His equipment, ancient and weathered, broke down more frequently. And with bills piling up, he felt the sting of fear. He was supposed to be the rock for his family, but the pressure, heavy and smothering, made him wonder if Victor had the answer. Questions cluttered his mind like cars waiting for repair. Then came the flood. It hit without warning, tearing through the town like a roaring beast. Water rushed into homes, and chaos erupted. Jake felt the ground slip beneath him. Everything he believed in was at risk. It would have been so easy to pack up and join Victor's venture, to run away from broken dreams, but as neighbors scrambled to save what they could, something stirred deep within him. The call of his roots grew louder. "Simon!" he shouted, rallying a half-dozen neighbors, hearts pounding and feet slipping in the mud. Together, they formed a chain, pulling out children, carrying baskets of essentials, sharing meals. There, in that chaos, Jake felt alive, felt strength surge through the shared moments of hardship. Gripping hands, strained smiles, they were all he needed. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that is happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who is on the other side of the screen." Now let us continue. As the waters receded, so did his doubts. He looked around and saw determination etched on the faces of friends and family. They were bruised, but they were standing. Jake knew then that he was at a crossroads: slick dreams or real connections. Wealth or community. The chilling emptiness of abandoned dreams loomed large. Would it be too late to embrace the warmth of his people? The flood washed away more than just waters, it washed away doubts. And as he stood there surrounded by resilience, a decision lay heavy on his heart. Would he reaffirm his commitment to their shared struggle, or follow Victor into a world that seemed ever so enticing but carried the risk of losing it all? The weight of his choice felt immense, leaving him wondering if he could truly turn back. As dawn broke over the town, the sun revealed a landscape altered, yet somehow more alive. Jake stepped out of his garage, the morning air crisp and refreshing against his skin. Everywhere he looked, remnants of the flood lingered: muddy streets, broken fences, and scattered debris, but the spirit of recovery pulsed beneath the surface. Neighbors emerged from their homes, weary but determined, ready to rebuild what had been lost. Jake found Sarah outside, her hands busy sorting through a pile of clothes that had been rescued from the waters. "Look what I found!" she exclaimed, holding up a faded but familiar jacket. It had belonged to their father. A tender smile crossed her face, mixed with unspoken sadness. "We're going to get through this, Jay," Together? He nodded, heart swelling with gratitude for her optimism. They weren't just recovering belongings, they were rebuilding their lives. It reminded him of that shared strength they had unearthed during the flood, and he realized he wanted more than just survival. He wanted to thrive with his family and friends. Jake started moving through the neighborhood, lending a hand wherever he could. Each person he assisted lit a flame of hope within him. They worked side by side, sharing stories and laughter, even amidst the muck. He helped an elderly woman lift furniture from a soggy yard, and she clasped his hand tightly. "Thank you, dear. This place is all I have. We'll fix it together, won't we?" Her resolve struck home. He felt a spark. "Yes, ma'am. We will." For the first time in days, a smile broke across Jake's face that felt genuine, but amid the community atmosphere, Victor's shiny facade loomed in the background. News of the shopping center mixed with the sound of hammers and saws around town. Jake couldn't ignore it. A voice inside urged him to listen to his heart, while another pulled him towards the vision of something grand, something Victor promised could change everything. He found himself standing before the diner that once buzzed with conversations about dreams and aspirations. Sarah sat inside, talking animatedly to their friends while the newest gossip spread like wildfire. He hesitated, unsure whether to join them or retreat back to safety. But as he watched Sarah's animated expression, something clicked. He couldn't pretend that the allure of a wealthy, easy life was more enticing than the connections he'd nurtured with his neighbors. Expanding the diner to a mall might offer convenience, but would it erase the warm meetings and familiar faces he loved? "Hey!" Jake called, stepping inside where the chatter momentarily quieted. They turned to him, smiles breaking out like sunlight through clouds. For once, he didn't want to hide. "We need to think about what we fully want. Change can be good, but we can't let it take away what makes our home ours." "I agree, Jake," Sarah responded, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We can build something better without losing ourselves." The room erupted in spirited conversation, fueled by fresh ideas. Discussions sparked about local businesses, farmers' markets, and an old-fashioned community street fair. They could preserve their identity while moving forward. But just as their hopes soared, an unsettling thought crept in: would people like Victor listen to their concerns? Would they truly be allowed to shape their own future, or would they just become another brick in his grand design? As Jake watched the excitement grow, he felt alive but also vulnerable. Could they really steer their dreams away from Victor's influence, or would their beloved community swirl into waves of impersonal commerce? The clock was ticking, and decisions loomed larger than ever. Would they stand together and reclaim their voices over changing tides, or would they let themselves drift in pursuit of shining surfaces? It was a choice that would define their lives in the days to come. The air buzzed with anticipation as morning faded into noon. Jake leaned against the diner's sun-warmed facade, soaking in the rapid transformation stirring around him. The energy was contagious. Local business owners had begun to band together, drawing out hopeful blueprints that painted a promising future. The chatter inside was animated, people swapping ideas as quickly as they had swapped floodwaters for determination. Jake stepped inside, where Sarah had taken charge of the gathering. "Jake, you'll want to hear this," she exclaimed, her excitement drawing everyone's eyes. The small crowd quieted, eager for her next words. "We have some ideas about what we want this community to look like," she announced, gesturing toward a large piece of paper pinned to the wall. It was filled with handwritten notes and sketches, colorful representations of what could easily be their new beginning. "We're calling it the Community Vision Initiative. And we're inviting everyone to contribute." A few people clapped, but some remained skeptical. Jake felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Would this be enough? He could already picture Victor laughing off their grassroots efforts in favor of shiny buildings and big brands. Jake spoke up, "This is amazing, but let us be clear about our goals. We need a plan that supports local businesses. We can't just bring in outsiders." The moment he said it, he felt a weight lift. There it was, the unfiltered truth that had sat heavy in his heart. Sarah nodded, her expression firm. Exactly. We need to emphasize local goods, services, and farms. It's us and our neighbors who have the answers. As the gathering got back into the rhythm, brainstorming was underway. Jake saw new ideas bloom around him. Bakers proposed an artisan bread festival, artists envisioned mural projects to bring color back to the streets, and a member of the gardening club suggested community gardens in the park. Hope poured out, brightening the once flooded thoughts swirling in his mind, but as the laughter rippled across the room, Jake couldn't shake off the feeling of Victor's presence. Even now, he was undoubtedly working on his own plan behind the scenes, waiting to quash their every effort with his corporate machine. What if we try to talk to Victor? Sarah said, breaking Jake's thoughts. Maybe we could propose a partnership. After all, a thriving community could attract more visitors to his shopping center. The room fell silent, each face turning toward Jake as if awaiting his reaction. Could they bridge the gap between their vision and Victor's imposing project? It felt dangerous, yet also thrilling. They'd have to walk a tightrope between negotiation and compromise. I'm not sure he'll listen, Jake replied cautiously, echoing the doubts shadowing the room. But if we keep pushing for what matters to us, maybe he won't be able to ignore us. We can't back down. The passionate murmurs rose again. The idea of facing Victor head-on and asserting their wishes sent a fire through the crowd. Jake felt the heat, too. But was he ready to confront the man who would stop at nothing to impose his vision? Could they transform their fears into a weapon of resilience? Just then, a loud honk echoed outside, breaking the tension. Curious heads turned toward the window. A shiny black SUV pulled up, the sleek design glinting under the sun. The door swung open, and there was Victor himself, stepping out with that same confident smile. What does he want? Someone whispered, as tension prickled the room. Jake could feel everyone's eyes locked on him, as if he had to decide what happened next. As he squared his shoulders, Jake took a deep breath. This was it. They had to rally together, ready to face whatever came next. Would it be a negotiation, a challenge, or perhaps a showdown? Each heartbeat echoed within him, a reminder that their fight was about to begin. Was this the moment where everything could change? And could they rise together against the tides that threatened to engulf them? The weight of the moment hung in the air, thick with possibility as they braced for Victor's next move. Victor strode into the diner like he owned the place, the air around him crackling with tension. The crowd shifted uncomfortably, uncertainty creeping into their faces. Jake stood steady as a stone, but inside, fear flickered like a candle in the wind. This was the man who could tear apart their dreams with a single swipe of his corporate hand. Good to see you all, Victor said, his voice smooth and confidence as thick as the coffee brewing in the corner. He scanned the room, settling his gaze on Jake. I hear you're bringing back the community spirit. Quite ambitious. His smile didn't reach his eyes, and Jake could sense the undertone of mockery. Jake gathered his thoughts, determined not to let Victor's arrogance shake him. We are, he responded evenly, and we're doing this on our terms. We want to build something sustainable and unique for our community. Victor raised an eyebrow, feigning surprise. Sustainable. Unique? Those are nice buzzwords, but they won't drive traffic like flashy stores and big brands. A murmur rippled through the crowd, and Jake felt a surge of defiance rise within him. But we aren't just looking for traffic, he replied. We're after building a community that thrives on local pride and connection. We want residents to feel invested in their surroundings, not just consumers passing through. This is about us. Victor chuckled, the sound sharp and dismissive. You think a few ideas on a piece of paper can compete with established brands? You're living in a dream. The room fell silent, the weight of his derision heavy. Jake felt anger boiling in his veins, but he pushed it down, clinging to the hope and strength of those gathered around him. Maybe, Jake began, his voice stronger now, but dreams are what inspire action. What you see as impractical, we see as potential. And we're not going to back down just because it's easier to cling to proven moneymakers. Victor's smile faded, and for a moment, his mask slipped. Beneath the facade of confidence, frustration flickered in his eyes. I suggest you keep dreaming while I bring reality to this town. You may find out the hard way what happens when you meddle in business you don't understand. Jake matched Victor's gaze, feeling the support of the people around him. We may be small, but we are mighty. And we refuse to let you dictate our future. The tension in the room hung thick, each person willing this moment to be a turning point. Victor's face hardened, and for a split second, Jake thought he might retaliate. Instead, he shrugged, turning to face the crowd. Good luck, he called over his shoulder, his tone dripping with condescension. You'll need it. As Victor walked out the door, a collective breath released. It felt like a battle was lost but a war had begun. Sarah turned to Jake, her eyes shining with resolve. We can't let him intimidate us. This is our chance. Let us keep pushing together. The crowd regained their breath, eyes lighting with fresh determination. Ideas flowed more freely now, voices mixing in a symphony of hope. But Jake couldn't shake the feeling that Victor wasn't done yet. This encounter was merely a prologue to something bigger. Here's the thing, Jake said, as he stepped onto an overturned chair to get everyone's attention. We need to consider our next move. What if Victor finds a way to sabotage our efforts? A breath of uncertainty floated through the group. We need a backup plan, Sarah suggested, her brow furrowed. If he strikes first, we have to be ready. Jake nodded, adrenaline coursing through him. A mix of fear and determination ignited in his chest. Let us brainstorm defenses. This won't be easy, but we need to protect our vision. No one gets to dictate who we are or what we stand for. As ideas bubbled anew, Jake felt a surge of optimism. With each voice rising in unity, he knew they were stronger together. But even in triumph, a shadow loomed. He couldn't shake the feeling that Victor would retaliate. What would Victor do next? Would Jake and his friends have what it took to counter his power? The moment was charged with tension, suggesting that the real fight was just beginning. The meeting swelled with energy as ideas flew from every corner of the diner, but Jake's mind was racing ahead. Visions of Victor's sneering face haunted him. What type of sabotage could a man like Victor pull off? As the crowd shared thoughts, Sarah stood beside him, her presence a steadying force. How about we gather support from local businesses? If we can create a united front, it will be harder for Victor to divide us. That's a brilliant idea, Jake responded, feeling a mix of hope and fear. If we show that we're all in this together, Victor won't have the leverage he thinks he does. The diner buzzed with agreement. Laughter and chatter filled the air as they discussed strategies. Jake felt the warmth of camaraderie surround him. It was a feeling he hadn't sensed in a while. Amid the clinking of coffee cups, he realized this was something bigger than just a fight against Victor. It was about forging connections, fostering growth, and building a place that reflected their shared values, but the sudden ringing of a phone interrupted the energy. Jake instinctively glanced at his own device, heart dipping when he noticed the caller ID his mother. He had promised her he'd stop by, but with everything brewing around them, he hesitated. Ignoring the call felt wrong, yet he couldn't shake the urgency of the task at hand. Are you okay? Sarah asked, concern etched in her brow. Yeah, just it's my mom, Jake muttered, glancing from Sarah to his phone. I haven't been around much lately. She is probably worried. Family comes first, Sarah said softly, placing a hand on his. We'll be here when you get back. Maybe she has some insight you could use. Jake considered it for a moment. His mother was a pillar of strength, always encouraging him to pursue his dreams. With a nod of gratitude to Sarah, he accepted that he needed this distraction, no matter how significant the meeting felt. Okay, Jake said, stepping outside the diner for a moment of clarity. The cool breeze swept over him, a reminder that there was still a world beyond these walls. He answered the call, and his mother's voice filled his ear with warmth. Jake, honey. I was starting to think you'd forgotten about me, she said, her voice filled with a mix of relief and joy. I'm sorry, Mom. Things are hectic, he replied, leaning against the wall. But I'm committed to something important here. I understand. Just remember to take care of yourself, okay? She said, her tone shifting to concern. You always push so hard. I will, I promise, Jake reassured her, though he felt the weight of her worry. Listen, I was at the community center earlier. They're planning a fair next month. It could be a great way for you to promote your ideas and rally support. The suggestion piqued his interest. A fair. That's perfect. We could use the platform. Just take it one step at a time, sweetie. You have a big heart, but don't let others take advantage of that, she warned gently. Jake thought of Victor's condescension, and a flare of anger ignited within him again. I want tea. I'm ready to fight for this, Mom. As they wrapped up the call, reinvigorated by her words, Jake returned to the diner with a newfound resolve. The room was still buzzing, and he felt an electric tension, the group rallying behind their common purpose. We might be small, Jake shouted, drawing attention. But if we show up at that fair, we'll demonstrate our unity. We'll show Victor that we won't back down. Together, we can build what this community truly deserves. Cheers erupted around him. The energy surged once more, infusing purpose into each person's heart. But as the meeting drew to a close, Jake still caught glimpses of Victor's smug expressions flickering in his mind. He knew that victory wasn't guaranteed, and an unsettling feeling crept in again. What would Victor's next move be? Would he strike before they had a chance to solidify their plans? The air was thick with anticipation, and Jake could feel it. This battle was just beginning, and the stakes were only getting higher. The following day dawned bright and clear, but Jake felt the weight of uncertainty heavy on his shoulders. He had barely slept, tossing and turning as visions of Victor's smirk invaded his dreams. With the fair approaching, he knew they needed to act fast. Jake arrived at the diner early, hoping to strategize before the others came in. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air, and he allowed himself to savor the moment. But as the door creaked open, signaling Sarah's arrival, his heart raced with the urgency of their mission. Good morning. Sarah beamed, and her positivity was infectious. She slid into the booth across from him. I've been thinking about our pitch to the businesses. We need something catchy, something that makes them believe in us. Something that makes them believe in what we can build together, Jake replied, feeling a spark of inspiration. I like that idea. We need to remind them that they have something to gain, too. As they sketched out the basics of their pitch, Jake's mind wandered back to his mother's suggestion about the fair. That event could serve as a catalyst, a chance to engage with the community on a larger scale. What if we set up a booth at the fair? Share our vision, get people involved. Absolutely. We can have flyers, maybe even a contest to generate buzz around our plans, Sarah suggested, her enthusiasm palpable. Their discussion continued to evolve, and soon the booth transformed into something much bigger, a hub for gathering stories, talent, and local voices eager to join their cause. The idea excited Jake. It felt like the heartbeat of the community, pulsing with the potential of what they could achieve. Days flew by as they worked tirelessly on their plans, gathering contributions from neighbors and reaching out to local business owners. Jake felt the swell of his connections growing deeper, a web of support that encapsulated hope for the town's future. Yet, every time he turned a corner, Victor's presence loomed in the back of his mind. Was the challenge truly gone, or merely lurking, waiting for the opportune moment to pounce? On the final day of preparations, Jake received an unexpected message. Victor had called a town hall meeting. Don't let him disrupt everything we've built so far, Sarah warned as they stood outside the diner, preparing for the upcoming fair. People are rallying behind our plans now. We've gained their trust. I know, but this could be a tactic to undermine that trust. I just have this feeling, Jake confessed, his eyes narrowing with mounting concern. He wanted to go down without a fight. The day of the fair was drenched in excitement, pure joy radiating from townsfolk adorned in vibrant colors. Families strolled along cheerful booths, laughter echoing all around. The air buzzed with the fragrance of delicious food and the sound of music drifting from the stage. Jake felt ready, yet his heart continued to pound like a drum, sensing an impending storm on the horizon. As they set up their booth, a slight unease slithered through him. What if Victor tries to sabotage this? He whispered to Sarah, scanning the crowd. But she reached out, squeezing his hand. We're not alone in this. We've got the community behind us. Remember that. With their booth beautifully arranged, they caught the attention of passers-by. But as Jake stood there, vibrant energy buzzing in the air, a shadow fell behind him. He turned, and there stood Victor, arms crossed, that insufferable grin plastered across his face. Victor drawled, voice dripping with taunts. I hope you're ready for a little distraction today. Jake's heart sank. What did Victor have in store? They had worked too hard to let him disrupt everything. As the pressure built around them, Jake had to decide whether to confront Victor head-on or trust in the unity they had built. In that moment, as Victor's gaze bore into him, Jake felt the future of the community hung in the balance. How would he respond to this looming confrontation? Would he fight back or fortify the bonds he had forged? The choice defined his next move. Jake took a deep breath, the warmth of the bustling fair evaporating as Victor's presence sent a chill through him. He had seen that look before, the one that twisted confidence into doubt. All at once, memories of the town hall meeting flooded his mind. Were they really prepared for whatever Victor had planned? Why are you here, Victor? Jake managed, his voice steadier than he felt. Victor leaned in, his smirk growing wider. I thought a little challenge was needed. You've been stirring the pot, and the people they might want to hear a different perspective, he said, glancing at the crowd. Jake felt Sarah's hand tighten around his. Their faces were lit up by the colorful banners fluttering above them, but all he could focus on was Victor's ultimatum. You don't have to work against us. This is for everyone, for the town. He said, trying to keep his voice firm. Victor shrugged, feigning indifference. We'll see about that. I've got some local businesses who think you're just barking up the wrong tree. Just then, a group of familiar faces approached their booth, drawn by the vibrant decorations and upbeat music. Jake felt a surge of hope. They were volunteers from the community, friends ready to lend a hand. But Victor saw them too, his grin turning conspiratorial as he waved. Hey, folks! He called, commanding the attention of the crowd. Are you really going to put your faith in Jake? You trust him with your dreams? Whispers began to ripple through the crowd. Jake's stomach sank as concerned looks flickered across his friends' faces. Sarah stepped forward, her voice clear and unwavering. We're building something here. Something real. What are you offering, Victor? Just more empty promises. It took only a moment for the energy around them to shift. The air crackled with tension as more people turned to listen. Victor obviously didn't expect the resistance, but Jake could see the determination in Sarah's stance, her resolve echoing in her words. Everyone deserves a voice. This isn't about Jake or me. It's about our community. We're stronger together. Sarah's words rang out strong and true, lending a power to their cause that no one except Jake might have believed possible just moments earlier. As cheers erupted from the crowd in response to Sarah's declaration, Jake felt a renewed surge of energy, a lightness of heart that helped him stand a little taller. He decided he wouldn't back down. Victor, he said, locking eyes with him, you may have money and influence, but we have something far greater. We have each other. This community is built on trust, and there's no place for deceit here. Victor bristled under the firm gaze of so many, but Jake could see a flicker of something surprise, maybe fear, buried under layers of arrogance. The whispers grew louder, an electrifying current washing over the group as more people backed up Sarah and Jake. Let us vote. Let the businesses hear from us directly. An older man shouted from the back, igniting a collective energy that rippled through the crowd. Jake's heart soared. Jake exchanged glances with Sarah, their eyes sparkling with possibility. Perhaps this moment could reshape everything. Victor's face contorted with disbelief, but he quickly regained composure. You think this is over? This is just the beginning of a much bigger game, he hissed, striding backwards into the crowd, clawing for authority. He was rapidly losing. As the moment settled, Jake could hear laughter and conversation surging around them. There was a chance, a glimmer of hope in front of them. But would Victor really walk away? Could they maintain this momentum? They had rallied the community, but the fight was far from over. Jake realized there would be more confrontations to face. And deep down, he knew Victor was not finished yet. "Let us take this forward," Sarah urged, enthusiasm spilling from her every word. "Together." He nodded, feeling all that momentum driving him forward. But as they turned back to the crowd, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that Victor was still plotting. What other surprises did he have up his sleeve? The fair continued to swirl around them, the joy palpable, but Jake's thoughts were miles away, racing ahead. Just what would Victor do next to reclaim his power? Jake stood at the edge of the fair, the cheers surrounding them a sweet symphony to his ears but only half registered in his consciousness. Each laugh and shout brightened the air, yet dread still knotted his stomach tight. He could see Victor retreating, but Jake knew that wasn't the end of the battle. "Jake!" Sarah's voice cut through his thoughts. "Look at them." He turned to see their friends and neighbors rallying together, eyes sparkling with hope. It felt alive, this moment, a real spark igniting deep inside him. "I know, it's incredible. We can do this." Sarah's smile was contagious as she led the charge back to their booth. "We'll get them talking. Show them what we can build." The crowd, now buzzing with revitalized energy, drew closer, some offering words of encouragement while others eagerly shared their visions. "This town deserves better," shouted a young woman, to which another replied, "Let us take back our community." The energy was electric, but Jake still felt a weight in the air. Victor was a master manipulator, and there was something dangerous hiding beneath that false bravado. He wouldn't just disappear, he would plot and ploy, seeking a way to regain control. "Do you think he is just going to walk away?" Jake asked Sarah quietly, even amidst the cheers echoing in the background. "Not a chance. He can't handle losing this easily." Her expression was serious, the light flickering behind her determination. "But we're ready for him. We've just shown everyone that together, we're stronger." Jake recognized the truth in her words, but the lingering concerns were like shadows tugging at his mind. They needed a plan. What's next? Sarah looked around, noticing the palpable hope and excitement. "We need to create a meeting. A place for everyone to share ideas. Let us put Victor's claims to bed and show them why we're fighting." "Yes. Get everyone involved," he added, his excitement rekindling. "Local businesses need to see this isn't just a bunch of kids chasing dreams, this is their dream too." Before Jake could think too much, Sarah was already embracing friends, rallying them. "Let us get organized. We need posters, flyers. It's time to show Victor that we're not just another easy target." Jake's pulse raced as he glanced around at their smiling faces, inspiration washing over him. This was more than just a fight against Victor, it was a fight for their hometown, their homes. They weren't giving up without a fight. Suddenly, a tall figure stepped into view, Victor, striding back into the crowd with renewed purpose. Jake's heart sank. What was he planning now? Victor clapped his hands, calling for silence. "I hope you all enjoyed the show. But let us be real. You think a few nice words will save your precious community? Think again." Gasps filled the air as Jake gritted his teeth. Victor leaned into the crowd, spinning tales of doom. "I'm here to protect your businesses, and believe me, you don't want to follow the inexperienced." The crowd wavered, uncertainty creeping in like a fog. Jake's heart raced. They needed to counter this. As murmurs rose, Sarah turned back to him with intensity in her eyes. "We can't let him win. We must respond now." Drawing in a breath, he shouted, "Victor doesn't know us like you do. We are not just names on a list, we are family, friends, neighbors. Together, we can rise." Cheers erupted again, but a part of Jake feared it might crumble. Would this strength hold against Victor's tactics? Forcing his gaze from Victor's smug face, he turned to Sarah and their friends. "Let us do this, together." As they began to strategize under the colorful fair lights, a dark current shifted in Jake's mind. Victor would strike again, of that he was sure. Make no mistakes, he thought, the real confrontation is just ahead. And suddenly, Jake realized this was only the beginning. Could they really take a stand against a man like Victor, who thrived on manipulation and fear? The thought lingered as he turned back to the vibrant crowd. But deep inside, excitement coursed alongside apprehension. What haywire schemes did Victor have yet to unleash? The crowd buzzed around Jake and Sarah, voices blending into a chorus of determination. They moved quickly, scattering like leaves in the wind, eager to spread the word about their meeting. Posters were made, messages shared, and hearts fortified. Jake couldn't help but feel alive in this current of change, the spark igniting a fire. "Don't forget to add that it's a potluck," someone yelled out joyfully. "Bring your ideas and your favorite dish." Sarah echoed, glancing at Jake with a grin. He felt a rush of energy course through the group. But as Jake gathered flyers in his hands, a spike of unease pierced his excitement. While the energy around them surged, Victor was a storm on the horizon, and storms rarely passed without leaving destruction in their wake. Hours passed swiftly, the fairgrounds transforming into a hub of activity. Threads of laughter stitched together moments of fleeting light, but beneath that surface, Jake sensed tension tightening again. What would Victor do next? Would he launch another hateful tirade to chip away at their resolve? "Jake, look!" a boy shouted, pointing. Jake followed his gaze to see Victor again, this time leaning against a booth, arms crossed, talking to a small group of citizens gathered uncomfortably around him. He could almost feel the skepticism radiating off them, the hints of doubt threading through the crowd. "Stay focused," Sarah said, noticing Jake's drift. "We need to keep our eyes ahead." But what if they listened to him? Jake felt the knot return. What if they turn against us? Sarah took Jake's hand, her grip firm. "They need to hear our story, Jake. They need to see who we are, not just the image he paints." As night fell, string lights illuminated the fairgrounds in a soft glow. The flickering lights seemed to mirror Jake's own growing hope. Soon the crowd would gather, and he knew they needed one powerful message to wrap around everyone's hearts. Every second counted. Jake stepped back, looking over the posters filled with bold colors and passionate words. Each one represented a voice, a person, a shared vision. He could see it in their eyes, that desire to rise above Victor's web of fear. They all craved a deeper connection, a feeling of being part of something bigger. "Let us gather everyone in 10 minutes. He called, enthusiasm building in his chest. People nodded, excitement ebbing and flowing as they shared their thoughts. Jake felt proud. They weren't just fighting back, they were stepping into the light and reclaiming their identities. But as the minutes ticked down, that familiar chill of anxiety tightened around Jake. Suddenly, he spotted Victor, moving closer, his eyes sharp and calculating, like a predator after its prey. Instinctively, Jake stepped forward, ready to defend his friends and their fragile hopes. "Hey, everyone!" Victor called, his voice slicing through the air. "You've got to be careful with those dreams of yours. Reality isn't as sweet as it seems." His taunt spilled over into the crowd, murmurs nesting in the air. People shifted uneasily, glancing at each other, uncertain. Sarah squeezed Jake's arm, her silence louder than words. "Showtime," he whispered. Gathering his breath, Jake stepped further into the spotlight. "Victor doesn't define this community. We do." As cheers rose in response, he felt a surge of courage, determination piercing through the doubts that lingered. But Jake knew this was only the beginning. Victor's tactics would increase. What would it take for Victor to truly unleash his fury? Feeling the eyes of the crowd on him, Jake squared his shoulders. The moment hung heavy, rippling with tension like waves before a storm. Will our unity withstand what's coming? He pondered, looking around at faces filled with both hope and fear. The real confrontation was yet to come, and Jake wasn't sure they were ready for what lay ahead. The air was electric as the community gathered under the twinkling lights, anticipation mingling with apprehension. Victor, ever the storm on their horizon, stood at the edge, arms crossed and a smug expression plastered across his face. But Jake refused to let fear dictate their path any longer. He felt the warmth of his neighbors behind him, their faces illuminated by determination, and he drew strength from that connection. Together, he breathed, feeling Sarah's steady hand on his shoulder. "We are stronger together." He stepped forward, embracing the moment. "Hey everyone," he called, the crowd hushing instantly. Their eyes were on him, searching for hope, for direction. "This is our chance. We've weathered the storm, and now it's time to rise." Cheers erupted around him, voices blending into a harmonious chorus of resolve. And no longer could they let Victor's words twist their spirits. "We're not just a collection of businesses," Jake continued, fire igniting in his belly. "This isn't just a place. This is our home. A home built on love, trust, and the hard work of every single one of you." The cheers grew louder, and he saw faces light up with passion. They had created community moments that rippled through their struggles, moments that made them resilient. "Let us embrace our stories. Every shop, every home, every one of us matters." As he spoke, he noticed Victor's expression shift, disbelief flashing in his eyes. Jake felt a renewed strength swell within him. "So let us take this opportunity. Let us unite and show Victor that his empty promises can't replace our forever. Together, we can build a market for our goods, create events that celebrate our culture, and build a place where every voice counts." Sarah joined him, her enthusiasm infectious. "Let us start a community center. A real place where families can come together, share ideas, and strengthen our bonds." Jake glanced at the crowd, seeing heads nodding, eyes wide with inspiration. They believed they could do this. "Who is with us?" he shouted, his voice ringing clear. "We are." They roared back, the power of their unity igniting an unstoppable wave of hope. Victor stepped in once more, attempting to drown out the enthusiasm. "You really think you can combat industry and progress? You're all just going to end up disappointed." The confidence in his voice dripped like poison, but Jake wouldn't let it fester. "Disappointment?" Jake echoed, shaking his head. "The only disappointment we see is people believing you. Don't let fear divide us. Don't let it make us question our worth." The crowd surged with excitement again, their voices clashing with Victor's dismissive tones. Jake could feel the energy of hope rise higher than he thought possible. Just then, an elderly woman, one of their unassuming neighbors, stood up. "I believe in you, Jake. We believe in each other," she declared, her voice cracking but steadfast. "A community isn't just about businesses, it's about the people living, loving, and growing together. We've fought through floods and adversity. We can certainly stand against greed." Jake's heart soared. Her courage sparked something deep within the crowd, and Jake seized the moment. "Let us take that spirit," he encouraged. "Let us build. Let us gather our ideas, host events, anything that shows who we truly are. The fair is just the start." Someone chimed in, further igniting the crowd's enthusiasm. Ideas flew back and forth: mural projects, community dinners, a farmer's market. Every suggestion wrapped them closer together, creating a vision that sparkled like stars against the night sky. Victor, feeling the winds shifting, took a step back, confusion etched across his features. "You're making a mistake." Jake took a deep breath, the warmth of their support lighting his spirit. "No, Victor. The mistake was thinking you could define our worth. Our identity is intertwined in our stories, our resolve, our perseverance. For every shut door, we'll open a window. You may think you're powerful, but our greatest strength is each other." As the crowd roared again, Jake felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Victor stood on the sidelines like a specter, his arrogance dimming under the bright enthusiasm of a united community. With every pledge, they chipped away at Victor's influence, turning his threats into mere shadows as they embraced their collective future. They rallied together, creating plans, sharing excitement, illuminating their hometown with hope. And as night turned to dawn, Jake realized their true victory didn't come from overcoming Victor but from embracing the heart and soul that made their community home. They had chosen connection over division, hope over despair. Weeks later, as Jake walked through bustling streets filled with families, laughter, and vibrant local art, he couldn't help but smile at the transformation. They had created the place they dreamed of, fighting back against the tide of outside influence, united and resilient. "Don't you sometimes wonder what Victor's up to?" Sarah asked one day, a hint of concern in her voice. Jake thought for a moment, then chuckled. "Let him come. We've faced bigger storms. What matters is right here. This." He gestured at the vibrant life surrounding them. Their community had learned that true wealth wasn't measured by shiny facades or hollow promises but by the deep connections forged in love and perseverance. "So what's next?" Sarah asked, her excitement palpable. Jake grinned, heart brimming with possibilities. "Let us keep dreaming, together. Because now, we know the only limit is the sky." In that moment, Jake understood they had already won the battle, filled with resolve and a beautiful, bright future ahead. Now is the moment for you to join this journey. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help more people find hope through our stories. Comment with your reactions and feelings about this ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand how crucial it is to support the channel through these actions.